Hi folks, and welcome to my channel. And in a previous video we had painted the cabin of Old Rusty with this black high productive surfacer. We let it cure overnight and now it's ready to be sanded, because in this video we're going to put the wine red color on the cabin. So we're going to apply the base coat and we're going to apply then the varnish or the gloss layer on top of that. So I'm going to be using a two-component paint system. That's good because that's very forgiving if you make mistakes. Anyhow, you might see these white little spots here and there on this cabin, and that's because I found out that there were little areas where things were not that perfect, so I used some very fine putty to put it up and then started to sand it down. But before wet sanding it, I'm going to rub down these little areas a little bit with a grit 400, and I'm going to do this dry together with my sanding block. That is always good because then I don't make scratches. Now this stuff goes off pretty easy, as you can see. This is actually soft putty. Yeah, that feels all right. Here I might have a little bit to clean up. So now that is very smooth and we are good to go. Before I'm going to apply the base coat on this, I want to make sure that I have no scratches left whatsoever on this surface. And that's why if I look on my data sheet, it says that you should wet sand it with a P1000 or a P1200 even. And that's pretty fine, so I'm going to try that. If you sand it dry, you can do a P400 or a P500. But I'm going to wet sand it with a P1000. That should be quite all right. And it should take out all the small little scratches. So wet sanding, it's nothing more than some sanding paper and water. And then we take a piece of cloth, clean cloth, and wipe it clean. And now you get this kind of gloss on it, and you can actually see how smooth it is. And I think this looks quite all right now. I will keep on sanding the whole cabin. I'm not going to show you all this, guys, because this is pretty boring stuff. But as I said before, painting is 90%, if not 95%, preparation work. Actual painting doesn't take that long. I'm going to continue rubbing down the whole cabin with a P1000. That's going to take a bit of time, and then I will do it with a P1200 to finish it all up, and then I'm going to clean it all up, let it dry, and then I'll come back to you guys for the paint job. And let's see how that goes. I'm not going to paint the whole cabin, by the way. There's areas that I'm not going to paint that will be covered up with upholstery. But on that one, I will apply another protection layer on top of the already surfacer, which is on the metal. So let me carry on, and then I'll come back to you guys later. It's now 2 hours later, and I just got finished sanding down the cabin of Old Rusty. I did a few patches here and there, but I basically have been sanding down the cabin with dry sanding paper with a grit 400, and then I finished it all up with wet sanding with a grit of 1200. And now it's a matter of taking the dust off, and for that I have some clean cloths here, and then we'll degrease it. And once that is all done, then we will go and start spraying it with its final red wine color, and I'm very curious to see how that will look like. I know there's a lot of repetition in this video, guys, but that's just the way it is. So let's start and let us clean up the whole cab by taking off all the dust. And by the way, I had to get changed because I got the water bucket over me while I was doing the roof of Old Rusty. So this is the third time that Old Rusty gets me. And these cloths you can buy by the pile, and they are very cheap and really good because they kind of rub off nicely the dust. And the next step is to degrease the cabin before we start painting it. I'm using always a good degreaser, and I'm using degreasing cloths or napkins. Very handy stuff and not too expensive. And it guarantees you that you have no grease at all on the cabin before you start painting, because nothing is as bad as a grease spot and then you get this fisheye kind of look, or the paint pulls back. Really not a good thing to have. All right, so let's start cleaning it. And as you can see, the body is already quite clean because almost nothing sticks to the cloth. We are about ready to start painting the cabin in wine red, and I'm going to paint it with this base coat. I'll probably apply about 2 to 3 coats of base coat. Now the base coat is not strong at all. It has no gloss, it's just color. And then I will finish it off with the clear lac, which is over here, with about 2 to 3 coats of clear lac, and that's going to give it protection and its shine. So, I'm going to prepare the paint now. The ratio for this is 3 to 1. So 3 parts of paint and 1 part of 384, which is this standard thinner. Here it is, and then we'll mix it all up. And I have a pot life, which is indefinite because I'm not using a hardener. So guys, this is going to be the color of Old Rusty. So that's 600 milliliters of paint, and now I need to add 200 milliliters of thinner. That's it. That's all we got to do now is stir it, and we should be good to go. And I don't have to worry about the pot life because there is no pot life on this one. I haven't put any hardener or accelerator in, so this will last a long time.
As always, we're doing a test first for the fan and the adjustment for the gun. I think that looks quite alright.
The base coat is now on, and I have applied about 3 layers of it. I like the color. It's wine red, and it goes together with the age of the truck, and it also goes together with France and wine and red. So I'm going to let it settle now for probably about another hour or so, and then I'm going to spray probably 2 to 3 layers of clear coat on top of it to give it that high gloss and its protection. There's no need to rub it down at all. And I don't really worry about small little pieces of dust that are in it because I can polish that out later. So, let's get on with it. And in about half an hour I'm going to tag rag the whole chassis. And the tag rag is a sticky piece of rag actually that picks up all the dust, because meanwhile I have some dust falling down on it. And then we'll apply the clear coat. But I'm just going to wait a little bit longer before I start tag ragging it. I just want to give it that extra bit of drying time. I didn't paint the back panel or the top ceiling because that I'm going to coat with a special protective coat because I will have upholstery covering all that, so there's no need to paint this with expensive car paint. The dashboard fascia turned out to be quite alright, and that was a really bad area with a lot of orange skin effect on it, but now it's kind of smooth. So let's tag rag it, and then it's ready for its final coat. So folks, the clear coat is on and it looks pretty good. It's very smooth. I have no orange skin effect and I have no drips, and that makes me really happy. But of course that is because I've been painting with the right mix and at the right temperature, and so can everybody else. So this is not rocket science. So let's have a look at some details. Here we had a lot of work to clean up this whole area, but at the end it turned out to be nice. Tomorrow we'll continue working on Old Rusty. We'll spray the areas where we have no varnish or no paint. We're going to paint especially the back end and some inner parts with rust protection, and then we'll start working on the doors. We've come to the end of this video, guys, and I'm going to let the cabin sit overnight, let it cure. Meanwhile, I'm going to get a great dinner, and tomorrow I will continue by fixing the rear part. So the black part, the back side of the cabin, that is not painted with red or with varnish, but that I will cover with a protective coat so that it is protected against rust and humidity and condensation. I will also do the same in a lot of the cavities, the inner sills and so on. I will inject some wax in that, so everything will be pretty well protected. But that's all stuff for tomorrow, guys. So right now, I'm gonna have my dinner. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.